It's been 5 years since The Boy Who Lived struck down Voldemort on the big screen. That's basically eons in Hollywood time, so naturally it's time to spin up the Harry Potter movie franchise once again with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Muggles, wizards, squibs, no-mages, because we come up with stupid terms here in America apparently, and Warner Brothers executives alike are ready to jump back into the wizarding world through a new saga straight from author J.K. Rowling herself. The new prequel releases worldwide next week, hitting theaters in Dublin on November 15th and everywhere else on November 18th. You lucky Dubliners. If you're not up to speed on Harry Potter, or if you haven't dusted your wand off in a while, you might be a little bit confused about where exactly Fantastic Beasts fits in with the overall universe and where it might go in the future. So we're here to break down everything you need to know before you go and see it. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is the 9th installment in the Harry Potter film franchise, but hopefully that doesn't mean the magic is gone. Not only is it written by Rowling, it's also directed by David Yates, who helmed a handful of Harry Potter movies already: Order of the Phoenix, The Half-Blood Prince, and The Deathly Hallows Parts 1 and 2. That should mean the movie feels distinctly familiar to Harry Potter movie fans, keeping the same look and feel of the originals, even if we're dealing with a different time period and different characters and a completely different setting, which is good because that new setting is going to be vastly different from what we know of the wizarding world already. Fantastic Beasts takes place in 1926 in New York. The actual Harry Potter series proper is set in the 1990s. 1991 through 1998 to be exact, so that places this just around 70 years earlier and on a completely different continent. Eddie Redmayne plays the new hero, Newt Scamander, who's been mentioned in Harry Potter in the past. He is in fact the author of the textbook for Harry's Care of Magical Creatures class, the famously titled Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. He's basically considered one of the all-stars of the magical world and was eventually awarded the Order of Merlin, second class, just about one of the highest accomplishments a wizard can receive. He doesn't actually appear during the main series, although his grandkid goes on to marry Luna Lovegood, even though she should have picked Neville Longbottom. It's fact. In the movie, Newt has been commissioned to write the very work he'll ultimately be most remembered for. He travels to America, nearing the end of his cataloging of all magical creatures, and inadvertently finds himself in just a little bit of a mess. For one, America is sort of in the midst of some political tension, imagine that, between no-mages, the American name for muggles, or people who can't use magic, and wizards. Part of that tension comes from a book of fanatical no-mages looking to eradicate wizards. This group keeps getting more and more ammunition thanks to a huge mysterious beast that's destroying parts of the city, the same beast that Scamander is after. The second point of tension comes from the dark wizard Grindelwald, who stirred up a lot of shit over in Europe before disappearing. His current whereabouts are unknown, which understandably has a lot of wizards on edge. The name Grindelwald might also sound a little bit familiar to those who've seen the former Harry Potter movies. He's a famous dark wizard prior to Voldemort who rose to power around the time of World War II. He was ultimately defeated by Albus Dumbledore, one of Harry Potter's many dead mentors. Grindelwald has a bit of a bigger presence in the Deathly Hallows book and films, as he becomes a central figure in Harry's search for the Elder Wand, the most powerful wand of all. Grindelwald stole it back in the 1800s, then it transferred to Dumbledore when Dumbledore beat him, and then it gets kind of confusing, but ultimately it goes to Harry and then he uses it to beat Voldemort. Spoilers. Also, there's something in there about true love defeating the power of death, but that last book was playing with a lot of ingredients. Anyway, the plot of the movie revolves around Scamander's beasts being accidentally freed from his magical briefcase, which leads to Scamander having to gather them back up Pokemon style. Scamander's path accidentally puts him in the crosshairs of dark forces and right in the middle of the growing conflict between wizards and no-mages. We don't know too much more about the plot than that, but it's definitely just the first entry in a much larger story because Warner Brothers is currently planning on 5 separate Fantastic Beasts films. So far, producers have confirmed that the second film will send things back to Europe. As for whether or not we'll see any familiar faces in the first movie, it sounds like we probably won't, but that might not be the case in the future, as there's already a casting call for characters like Albus Dumbledore. He's name-dropped in one of the trailers as being very fond of Newt, and he was actually one of Newt's professors before Newt got kicked out of Hogwarts for, accidentally endangering another student with a magical creature. We also know that the second movie will have Johnny Depp tackling the role of the aforementioned Dark Wizard Grindelwald, the original big bad of the wizarding world before Voldemort. It also wouldn't be too big of a surprise to see a young Hagrid play a role later in the new series, as he's a student at Hogwarts around the same time that Grindelwald comes to power, and he ends up getting kicked out for almost the exact same reasons as Newt. But of course, we'll have to wait and see how all of this comes together when the movie releases next week. And if you guys are planning on seeing Fantastic Beasts and where to find them, let us know in the comments, and be sure to check out other videos in our Know Before You Go series.
What makes Albus Dumbledore so fond of you, Mr. Scamander?
First trip to America?
Yes. Must get that fixed.
Anything edible in there?
No.
Any livestock?